Most people don't go broke because of lack of money. They go broke because of lack of thinking. You see, $1 in the hands of a wise thinker becomes a seed. $1 in the hands of a careless thinker becomes dust. The difference? It's not the economy, not your boss, not your background. It's how you think. The rich don't think harder. They think different. They ask better questions. They plan further ahead. They study cause and effect. So before you chase money, stop and ask, have I built the kind of mind that money would want to follow? Let me tell you something I learned early in my journey. Working hard is honorable, but working smart is transformational. You see, there are plenty of people who wake up early, stay late, and still remain stuck in the same place year after year. They're not lazy. They're simply busy doing the wrong things. Effort without direction is wasted energy. You can run faster, but if you're running in the wrong direction, you'll only reach the wrong place sooner. The truth is, it's not how hard you work, it's how intelligently you apply that effort that determines your success. When I was younger, I believed that hard work was the key to everything. So, I worked harder than anyone I knew. But one day, a mentor told me, don't just work hard, work smart. Think before you act. At first I didn't understand, but I started to notice something. There were people who didn't work as long as I did, but they seemed to accomplish 10 times more. They had systems, they had leverage, they had clarity. That's when I realized thinking multiplies results. Labor alone multiplies exhaustion. The first step to working smart is simple. Slow down and think. Take time to plan your week, your day, your goals. A few hours of thoughtful preparation can save you years of trial and error. You'd be amazed how many people spend more time planning their vacations than their lives. Yet life, unlike a vacation, doesn't happen twice. So, before you start your day, ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? Because the difference between average results and extraordinary ones is not effort, it's focus. Working smart means understanding leverage. Leverage is the art of multiplying your effort through systems, tools, and people. One smart system can do the work of 100 laborers. One idea, properly executed, can create wealth that lasts for generations. Think of the farmer. He doesn't dig up the field with his hands. He uses machines, tools, and timing. He knows when to plant, when to water, and when to harvest. Working hard on the wrong soil doesn't make the crop grow faster. The soil of success is thinking, and the seeds are smart actions. I once spent an entire afternoon just thinking about how to save an hour a day. It seemed trivial at the time, but that 1 hour, saved every day, turned into 365 hours a year. That's 9 extra work weeks. That's the kind of arithmetic the successful understand. They don't just count money, they count moments. So I challenge you, don't be so quick to move that you forget to think. Dedicate 1 hour a week to pure strategy. Review where your time is going, what's working, and what's not. Replace mindless motion with meaningful progress. Remember, a few well-thought-out steps forward will always beat 1,000 frantic steps in circles. The world doesn't pay for effort, it pays for effectiveness. Work hard, yes, but think harder, because a sharp mind will always cut faster than strong hands. You know, one of the greatest discoveries a person can make is realizing that most of what limits them isn't the world, it's their own thinking. The walls that hold us back are often built in the mind. And the only way to tear those walls down is by asking better questions. Most people spend their lives protecting their opinions instead of improving them. They'd rather be right than be rich, rather be comfortable than be correct. But the truth is, progress doesn't come from defending what you already know. It comes from questioning what you think you know. When I was young and broke, I thought I had life figured out. I had opinions on everything: business, success, people, but no results. Then one day, a mentor looked me in the eye and said, "If your philosophy isn't bringing you results, maybe it's time to question it." That hit me like a thunderbolt. I realized that my beliefs, not my circumstances, were keeping me poor. I was defending the very ideas that were limiting me. From that day, I started asking myself a simple but powerful question: what if I'm wrong? And that question became my greatest teacher. You see, most people don't question their patterns. They repeat yesterday, call it today, and expect tomorrow to be different. But if you want a different future, you must become a different thinker. The mind grows not by collecting answers, but by asking sharper questions. Ask yourself, what am I missing? What's another way to see this? Who's already doing this better than me? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your thinking, and your thinking determines your results. I began writing questions every morning. Not answers, questions. Questions like, what can I learn today that will move me closer to freedom? What habit is silently costing me progress? That practice sharpened my awareness like a blade, because questions open doors that answers often close. When you stop asking, you stop growing. Here's another truth. Growth requires friction. You'll never stretch your mind if everyone around you agrees with you. That's why I learned to talk to people who challenged my views, people who saw things differently. At first it was uncomfortable, but then I realized disagreement doesn't destroy clarity, it defines it. When your ideas are tested, they either break or become stronger. So don't avoid debate, seek it. Iron sharpens iron, and thinkers sharpen thinkers. Don't be afraid to study opposing perspectives either. Read books from people you don't agree with. Study thinkers who challenge your worldview. You might not accept everything they say, but you'll learn something priceless: how to think, not just what to think. So let me tell you, the smartest thing you can do is start doubting your limitations instead of your potential. Stop saying I can't and start asking, how could I? Every great breakthrough begins with a mind brave enough to question its own comfort. Remember, wisdom doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from never running out of questions. You know, most people want to be rich next week. They want the rewards of wealth without the rhythm of patience. But that's not how the game works. The truth is, wealth is a long conversation with time. It's not a sprint, it's a symphony. The rich don't think in days or weeks, they think in decades. They understand that time is the greatest multiplier of effort. Poor thinkers chase the next paycheck, the next deal, the next dopamine hit. Wealthy thinkers, they plant trees that'll give shade long after they're gone. When I was young, I made the mistake of thinking that success was immediate, that hard work today meant wealth tomorrow. But I learned quickly that nature doesn't work that way, and neither does life. You can't plant a seed in the morning and expect a harvest by nightfall. Everything worthwhile takes time, growth, mastery, wealth, even wisdom. The secret isn't in how fast you move, it's in how long you're willing to stay consistent. The rich understand this. They make decisions today their future self will thank them for. The poor make decisions today just to escape discomfort. I remember one of my mentors telling me, the ultimate test of maturity is the ability to delay gratification. That was a hard lesson. Because we live in a world that rewards speed, fast food, fast money, fast fame. But wealth doesn't reward speed, it rewards strategy. You can't out-hustle time, but you can align with it. That's the art of compounding, not just of money, but of effort, discipline, and wisdom. A little done consistently over a long period beats a lot done inconsistently in a short one. So here's the challenge. Think in decades. Where will you be 10 years from now? What will your skills, your investments, your network look like? Don't build for the weekend, build for the legacy. I created a decade-long plan once, not because I knew every detail, but because I wanted direction. When you plan long-term, your decisions change immediately. You stop chasing and start creating. You stop reacting and start building. You must also learn to resist the pull of comfort, the temptation to cash out early, to spend before you grow, to enjoy before you've earned. That's how people trade their future for convenience. I've seen people destroy years of progress with one impulsive choice, but the disciplined thinker holds the vision steady. He knows that every dollar saved, every hour invested, every decision delayed for something better, that's a brick in the foundation of freedom. And compounding isn't just financial, it's philosophical. Every time you think long-term, your mind compounds in strength. Every time you choose patience, your character compounds in wisdom. So, think in decades. Play the long game. Because the truth is, anyone can get rich for a moment, but it takes vision to stay rich for a lifetime. The question isn't how much you can earn this month, it's how much you can grow over the next 10 years. Because when you start thinking like that, wealth doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. You see, most people think wealth is about how much money you make, but that's only half the truth. The other half, the part most people ignore, is about how you think, and more importantly, how you control your emotions. I've watched people earn fortunes only to give them away emotionally, through fear, greed, or envy. They feed the banks, the markets, and the clever salesmen while starving themselves of real wealth. Emotional spending is the silent thief of financial freedom. And the sad part is, it's completely preventable. I remember early in my career, I bought a piece of equipment I didn't need. I was excited, caught up in the promise of status and the idea that I deserved it. That purchase didn't make me money. It delayed my wealth. I learned the hard way that if you allow feelings to drive your money will drive your life. Every major financial decision must be filtered through logic and long-term thinking. That's the hallmark of the wealthy mind, the ability to pause, analyze, and act rationally. So how do you build that control? It begins with simple discipline. Before making a purchase, wait 24 hours, delay, let your rational mind catch up with your emotional impulses. This pause gives clarity. Suddenly, the unnecessary temptation seems small, and your long-term goals loom larger. Keep a journal to track your spending habits. Ask yourself, am I buying this because it serves me or because it excites me for a moment? Over time, patterns emerge. You'll discover the triggers, advertising, envy, even stress, that push you toward poor choices. Investing follows the same rule. Never buy into fear-driven hype or greed-fueled trends. The rich study the fundamentals, not the headlines. They pause, calculate, and act with intention. Emotional intelligence becomes your financial intelligence. You'll see opportunities where others panic and avoid traps where others dive head first. Logic is your compass. Patience is your power. Remember, wealth is not a sprint fueled by emotion. It's a marathon built on rationality. The disciplined thinker pauses. The emotional thinker plunges. The results are not even close. Control your feelings. Master your impulses. And your money will start working for you instead of you working for your money. When you combine emotional control with logical action, you don't just protect your wealth, you multiply it. And that is the path to financial freedom that lasts. Everything in your life starts in your mind. Your bank account, your opportunities, your relationships, they all begin as thoughts long before they manifest in reality. I've seen it time and time again. People with small thinking achieve small results. And those who expand their minds create enormous possibilities. Wealth is no different. Before money ever touches your wallet, it first resides in your mindset. Your mind is the workshop. Your thoughts are the raw materials. And your beliefs are the blueprint. If the blueprint is weak, flawed, or limited, the house you build will reflect that. Early in my own journey, I realized that my income and opportunities were only as big as my thinking. I was working hard, following advice, and doing all the right things, but my results plateaued because my vision was limited. I had to challenge every assumption I had about money, success, and my own capability. I had to ask, what if I could achieve more than I believe? What if scarcity isn't real and abundance is waiting for me to claim it? That mental shift was the turning point. Once I believed in the possibility, I started seeing solutions, opportunities, and paths that had been invisible before. Developing mental discipline is essential. It starts with journaling daily about your financial vision. Don't just write what you want, write why you want it, how it feels, and what you are willing to become to achieve it. Study the thought patterns of those who have created wealth, not just their actions. Understand their mindset, how they approach risk, how they solve problems, how they see opportunity where others see obstacles. Replace every limiting thought with a question that opens possibilities. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, ask, how can I afford it? This simple shift trains your mind to look for solutions instead of excuses. Remember, if you want to attract wealth, you must first become the type of person who can handle and generate wealth. Your mind is the soil. Plant seeds of abundance. Water them with belief and nurture them with disciplined thought. What you cultivate in your mind today determines the wealth you will harvest tomorrow. The first step toward financial freedom always begins in your own mind. True wealth is more than a balance in your bank account. The purpose of thinking smart isn't merely to make money, it's to create meaning, to leave a mark that outlives you. I've met countless people who accumulated great sums, yet when you look closer, their lives felt empty, their influence faded, and their money, though abundant, was fleeting. Wealth without wisdom is like a candle in the wind, bright for a moment, but gone too soon. But wisdom, applied consistently and thoughtfully, doesn't just preserve wealth, it multiplies it. It transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. When I started in business, I focused first on making ends meet, on survival, on the next sale. I thought that financial success alone would bring satisfaction. But over time, I realized that the decisions I made, how I treated people, how I reinvested my earnings, how I used my influence, were shaping something far more lasting than numbers on a statement. Critical thinking taught me that each choice was an opportunity to serve, to mentor, to contribute. It wasn't just about lifestyle, it was about legacy. The strategy is simple. Think beyond yourself and your immediate comforts. Align your financial goals with a higher purpose. Ask, how will this decision serve not just me, but those who come after me? Define the legacy you want to leave. Is it one of generosity, knowledge, and impact? Then let your wealth-building activities reflect that. When you teach others how to think critically, how to solve problems intelligently, your influence spreads. Your wealth, in this sense, becomes immortal. It isn't measured merely by dollars, but by the lives it touches and the wisdom it carries forward. The practical steps are clear. Start by articulating the legacy you want. Write it down. Let it guide every financial and personal decision. Align your actions with service. Create businesses, investments, or opportunities that uplift others as much as they elevate you. Teach, mentor, and inspire. Your wealth lives on in the minds and hearts of those you influence. When your decisions are rooted in critical thinking and legacy, ordinary lives are transformed into extraordinary stories, and fleeting money becomes enduring meaning. When it comes to building wealth, one of the most overlooked principles is this: you must earn the right to more by managing what you already have. Life doesn't hand out abundance to those who are careless. It rewards responsibility. If you can't steward a small sum, there's no reason to expect that you could wisely handle 10 times that amount. I've witnessed countless individuals earn well, yet find themselves broke because they never learned to respect the money that came into their hands. They treated each paycheck like a disposable resource, chasing temporary satisfaction rather than nurturing sustainable growth. The universe tests our stewardship before granting expansion. The philosophy is simple yet profound. Abundance begins with discipline. Your financial behavior today is a predictor of what tomorrow will bring. In my own journey, I started with very little, but I treated every dollar with purpose. I wrote down every expense, questioned every purchase, and celebrated the small victories of careful planning. Over time, this created a pattern, a habit of excellence that compounded into the freedom I eventually experienced. Managing what you have is not about frugality alone. It's about creating a foundation strong enough to support the weight of greater wealth. The strategy is to master the small before expecting the large. Track every dollar you earn and spend for at least 90 days. This gives you clarity and exposes hidden leaks that silently drain your potential. Increase your savings rate before you increase your lifestyle. Resist the temptation to inflate your wants as your income grows. And importantly, reward yourself for consistent management, not just luck or windfalls. Recognition of good stewardship reinforces habits that lead to bigger opportunities. Practical steps include maintaining a simple ledger or budgeting tool, reviewing it weekly, and making adjustments consciously. Set goals for savings or investments that grow gradually and allow the compounding effects to work. Every decision, from a small purchase to a large investment, becomes a training ground. When you earn the right to more by demonstrating responsibility, you're no longer at the mercy of chance. You've created a life where abundance flows to those prepared to receive it, and your wealth is built on the unshakable foundation of discipline and prudence. When it comes to wealth, the way you perceive value separates the rich from the rest. Poor minds often ask, "How much does it cost?" and make decisions based solely on immediate price. Rich minds, on the other hand, ask, "What is it worth?" They see every dollar, every hour, and every effort as an investment with potential return. Wealth grows when you prioritize value over cost, when your decisions are guided by the impact they produce rather than the temporary comfort they provide. I've seen people with modest incomes who, by thinking in terms of value, built fortunes, while others with far more resources squandered them chasing cheap thrills. The difference is not luck, it is perspective. The strategy is to train your mind to focus on return, not expense. Every purchase, every opportunity, every decision should be evaluated for its potential to multiply your worth. When I first started, I remember being cautious with money but willing to spend on books, seminars, and mentorship. Each investment in knowledge returned exponentially more than the original cost. I treated time like a currency, spending hours on skills that increased my earning potential rather than wasting them on fleeting pleasures. This mindset of valuing return over cost became a multiplier in every area of life. Practically, start by asking before any purchase or commitment, does this increase my value or simply give comfort? Track the ROI of your time and money, not just the financial cost, but the growth it produces. Invest in relationships, tools, and education that expand your capacity to earn, influence, and impact. Value thinking isn't about reckless spending. It's about strategic allocation of resources to areas that compound over time. Every dollar spent wisely becomes an employee working towards your future. Train yourself to see opportunities through the lens of value, not cost. Make decisions with foresight, focusing on long-term gains rather than short-term savings. When you consistently prioritize value, wealth ceases to be a dream and becomes a natural outcome of the way you think, act, and invest. True financial abundance follows those who understand that value, not price, is the currency of prosperity. Your mind is the soil in which all wealth grows. If you allow it to be polluted with negativity, fear, or mediocrity, no matter how much opportunity surrounds you, your financial garden will wither. I've met people who had all the talent, education, and opportunity in the world, yet their lives remained stagnant because their thoughts were consumed by doubt, envy, and distraction. The quality of your mind directly shapes the quality of your money, your relationships, and your influence. Prosperity is never an accident. It begins in thought and flourishes when nurtured. The strategy is to protect your mind as if it were your most valuable asset, because it is. Wealth grows when you feed your mind with ideas that expand your capacity, not with fear that limits it. When I first began my journey, I quickly realized that the people, books, and media I consumed either lifted me toward success or dragged me into stagnation. I made a deliberate choice to invest my mental energy in learning, in listening to mentors, and in conversations that stretched my thinking. Every hour spent in growth compounded, while every hour wasted in negativity was a silent tax on my potential. Practically, begin by auditing what enters your mind daily. Limit exposure to negative media, gossip, or conversations that breed fear and doubt. Dedicate at least an hour each day to reading books, listening to lectures, or studying ideas that challenge and elevate you. Surround yourself with people who think critically, dream boldly, and act decisively. Guard your mental environment as fiercely as you would your financial portfolio. A single toxic relationship, repeated habit, or thought pattern can erode years of growth if left unchecked. Remember, your mind is the architect of your destiny. Protect it, cultivate it, and feed it wisdom, and every action you take will multiply in effectiveness. Wealth is attracted not just by what you know, but by who you become in the process of knowing. Treat your mind as the treasure it is, and it will repay you with insight, discipline, and the ability to recognize and seize the opportunities that others overlook. Your most valuable asset is not money, it's the mind that earns it. Money is not a goal, it is a byproduct of excellence. I've often observed that people chase dollars as if the currency itself held power, and yet, in doing so, they often find that money remains elusive. The truth is, money doesn't chase effort, it chases value. It follows excellence like a magnet, and excellence is cultivated through skill, integrity, and the relentless pursuit of doing your best in every situation. Showing up is not enough. Standing out is what attracts opportunity, wealth, and recognition. Think about the marketplace for a moment. It does not reward intent, promises, or even hard work in isolation. It rewards results, solutions, and measurable value. In my own journey, I recall early jobs where I simply did what was asked. The income was modest, and the progress was slow. Then I made a conscious decision. I would do more than was required, learn faster, and think bigger. I asked myself, every single day, how can I add more value today? By consistently offering more than expected, my reputation grew, doors opened, and opportunities I could never have imagined began to find me. Money, in essence, followed the value I created, not the hours I logged. The strategy is simple yet profound. Commit yourself to excellence in whatever you do. Whether you are delivering a service, building a product, or leading a team, make it so remarkable that the world can't ignore it. Treat every task, no matter how small, as a showcase of your standards, a reflection of your work ethic, and a demonstration of the results you can deliver. Small, daily improvements compound, and over time, the marketplace notices, rewards, and amplifies your efforts. Practical steps make this philosophy actionable. Begin each day with the question, how can I add more value today? Use this as a compass to guide decisions, interactions, and projects. Set a weekly goal to improve a skill, product, or process. Incremental progress creates exponential results. Treat each assignment as an opportunity to exceed expectations, to innovate, and to display your capability. Excellence is not occasional, it is habitual. Remember, money is a follower, not a leader. It is attracted to those who deliver solutions, innovate, and embody standards of excellence. When you focus on being excellent rather than chasing currency, wealth becomes a natural consequence. Stand out, serve well, and let your value be the magnet. Money will follow. Every paycheck is a decision point, a moment where your future either grows or stagnates. I've seen countless people receive their hard-earned income and immediately let it vanish into fleeting impressions, luxuries bought to signal success to others, cars that impress but depreciate, gadgets that thrill for a week and then collect dust. The world applauds such displays, but wealth does not. True prosperity is created not by what you show, but by what you build. Every dollar you earn carries potential. It can either feed the ego of today or fuel the freedom of tomorrow. The philosophy is clear. Wealth favors patience and strategic thinking. When I first began learning about money, I faced the same temptations. Friends were spending freely, yet I realized that my future self could benefit far more if I redirected even a fraction of those impulses into investments. Instead of a flashy purchase, I chose to buy knowledge, tools, and assets that generated more income. That choice, repeated consistently, compounded over years, and transformed my life. Money invested is a seed. Money spent on impressions is wind, fleeting, and gone. The strategy is simple but requires discipline. Delay gratification, shift perspective, and prioritize empowerment over approval. Each dollar you earn should be assigned a purpose to create income, to protect your freedom, or to build assets that will serve you long after the instant thrill has faded. This approach rewires the mind to value long-term prosperity over momentary satisfaction, creating a mindset that naturally attracts wealth. Practical steps make this actionable. Before every purchase, pause and ask, will this feed me or free me? If the answer is freedom, it belongs in your investment plan. If it's just a fleeting thrill, it belongs back in your wallet. Avoid emotional purchases aimed at status. They drain your financial energy. Redirect spending that once went to impress others into assets, stocks, real estate, or business ventures that grow while you sleep. Watch your money become a worker, not a toy, and witness how your wealth expands without extra labor. Wealth is not built on appearances, but on foresight and disciplined decisions. Turn every paycheck into an investment in your future. Empower tomorrow. Don't just entertain today. Wealth is never just a number in a bank account. It is a reflection of who you are becoming. I've observed time and again that people chase money, thinking it will define them, only to find that without internal growth, their finances plateau or even vanish. True prosperity mirrors your self-discipline, your habits, and your integrity. If your character is shallow, money slips through your hands like water. If your character is solid, money gravitates towards you naturally, almost as if it recognizes your worth. This is the first secret many overlook. Money follows the person, not the resume. The philosophy is straightforward. Your income is rarely greater than your self-worth. I remember early in my career, I was eager to make more, yet no matter how hard I worked, my earnings seemed limited. It wasn't until I invested in myself, not just my skills, but my values, that I saw financial growth. Honesty, consistency, humility, these traits transformed the way people trusted me and the opportunities they offered. Money began to flow, not because I chased it, but because I had become someone worth investing in. The strategy, then, is to focus inward before chasing outward rewards. Develop the person who can responsibly handle wealth, who can create value for others, and who can sustain prosperity without losing sight of integrity. Without internal alignment, even the most brilliant financial plan can crumble under the weight of poor judgment or unethical shortcuts. Practical steps make this actionable. Cultivate honesty in every interaction. Your word becomes your bond. Show consistency in habits, from your financial routines to your personal commitments, building trust with yourself and others. Embrace humility. Recognize that learning never stops, and wealth is a lifelong journey of growth. Study character as diligently as you study money. Observe the principles that guide those you admire and emulate them. Finally, measure success, not only by your income, but by the integrity and respect you earn along the way. When you grow into the kind of person who embodies value, discipline, and trustworthiness, wealth stops being a chase. It becomes a natural reflection of the life you've built, and every financial gain mirrors the growth of your character. Cultivate the person, and the money will follow. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this conversation to a close, let us pause and reflect on the journey we have taken together. We've talked about wealth, success, and the principles that distinguish those who create lasting prosperity from those who merely chase fleeting gains. But the truth is, none of these concepts matter until they become a part of who you are, how you think, and the daily habits you practice. Wealth is not just numbers in a bank account. It is a reflection of the person you have become, the value you bring into the world, and the choices you make consistently over time. Think about this. Money is impartial. It doesn't flow to those who merely wish for it, or to those who desire it the loudest. It flows to those who offer value, who show discipline, who demonstrate integrity, and who have trained themselves to think, act, and live in alignment with abundance. The rich don't chase wealth. They attract it through their excellence, their preparation, and their ability to serve others. The first step is internal. You cannot expect external results without internal growth. Develop your character, refine your habits, and cultivate skills that make you indispensable. Your financial results will always mirror the quality of the person you are becoming. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and accomplishment. I cannot overstate this. Every small choice you make today compounds over time. Saving $1, investing a skill, honoring a promise to yourself. These are the seeds of future freedom. Avoid shortcuts that compromise your principles. They may offer immediate gratification, but they weaken the foundation you need for lasting success. Commit to consistency, not perfection. Life will test your resolve, but if you persist, if you honor the small disciplines daily, you will find yourself standing on a mountain of results that others only dream about. Next, remember that wealth is not a solo journey. Relationships amplify opportunities. Your network, the people you surround yourself with, will either lift you or limit you. Seek out those who challenge your thinking, who inspire growth, who push you toward excellence. Be generous with your time, knowledge, and support. Serve before seeking reward. The universe has a way of returning what you give multiplied. In the process, you become richer, not only in finances, but in wisdom, influence, and fulfillment. Time, too, is one of your most precious assets. You can recover money, but you cannot recover time. Guard it fiercely. Prioritize growth, relationships, and meaningful work. Audit how you spend your hours and eliminate what doesn't serve your long-term goals. Every hour invested wisely compounds into a lifetime of freedom and opportunity. Similarly, wealth compounds when directed with intention. Learn to manage money as a tool, not as an end. Budget, invest, protect, and grow it. Let every dollar have a purpose, and let patience be your constant companion. True wealth grows slowly, silently, and surely. A mindset of abundance is equally critical. Scarcity thinking limits opportunity, while an abundance mindset magnifies possibility. Train your mind to see solutions where others see problems, to see opportunity where others see obstacles. Challenge self-limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering truths. The thoughts you harbor today will manifest in the actions you take tomorrow. Wealth begins in your mind before it appears in your bank account. Education, both formal and self-directed, is a lifelong necessity. Never stop learning. Every book you read, every mentor you follow, every experience you embrace adds to your ability to create value. Knowledge without execution is wasted potential. So apply what you learn. Turn insight into action. Turn action into habits, and turn habits into results. The more you learn, the more value you can provide, and the more wealth will follow. At the heart of it all, remember that wealth without meaning is hollow. True prosperity combines financial freedom with purpose. Use your wealth to create impact, to uplift others, and to leave a legacy that endures. Measure success not by the size of your bank account, but by the lives you touch, the trust you earn, and the integrity with which you live. Serve others, contribute to your community, and invest in principles as diligently as you invest in dollars. Finally, take action today. Don't wait for perfect conditions, for inspiration, or for luck. Start where you are. Plant seeds that will grow over months and years. Invest in yourself, in your skills, in your relationships, and in your vision. Commit to discipline, to learning, to giving, and to serving. Every step, no matter how small, compounds into the life of freedom, impact, and wealth that you seek. Let your journey begin with a single decision: to become more, to think more critically, to act more intentionally, and to live with purpose. Let this decision guide every choice you make, every relationship you nurture, every dollar you direct, and every hour you invest. Wealth is not a destination, it is the natural byproduct of a life lived with value, discipline, and vision. So rise today. Commit to becoming the person worthy of the life you desire. Build skills, cultivate character, serve others, and protect your freedom. The path to wealth is not a secret. It is a series of deliberate, consistent actions. Make those actions count. Create value, attract opportunity, build assets, and in the process, become the person who deserves the abundance you are capable of achieving. The time to act is now. The choice to grow is yours, and the life you dream of is waiting for you to step into it.